welding is a particularly difficult industrial application. Welding is dangerous, welding is dirty, welding is expensive, and it requires skilled personnel who are frankly in very short supply in America right now. I'm with Josh Leath. He's Senior Product Manager for Thermal Applications with the Motoman Robotics Division of Yaskawa, America, and he has an interesting solution to that problem. Josh, we're looking at a welding robot, welding cobot, in fact, behind us right now. That I can't think of an industrial application which is more dirty, more difficult, or more dangerous than welding. I mean, this has got to be a challenge for any robotic system.
That's correct. So the robots have to be industrial grade robots to be in that kind of environment. All of our robots are going to be IP67 rated, so they can handle that weld slag, that UV exposure to them. So they're made for that environment. That's where we really had our roots in many years ago. So back even to the 70s and 80s, we had the first welding robot that could withstand that type of environment. We teamed up with Hobart Brothers in the 90s, and it's really been our bread and butter ever since. So we do lots of robotics and lots of other applications, but welding is still our main focus.
Now, historically, of course, anyone who's been in industry at all has seen welding robots before, but you wouldn't be standing next to them like we are now. You'd be behind basically a lot of guarding down there, but this is a cobot.
Correct, yeah. So typically, like you said, there's going to be lots of fences, lots of guarding, lots of sensors, things that add a lot of space and cost to a system, but are needed for production environments to be safe for those operators handling them. With cobots, like the one behind me here, you can actually lead to teach, so you can grab the end of arm, move it around to teach its path, but also if the robot moves and bumps you, it stops, so it's safe. There's power force limiting sensors in all the axes here that enable both that lead to teach, but also make it safe in that environment. You still have to be cognizant of the other risks, such as the arc flash, the weld slag, the heat coming off of it. So it's things that welders, if they understand and they're a trained welder, that's who you want programming the robot, is somebody that understands welding. But most shops don't have enough welders to fill their needs, so that's where the cobot or industrial robot solution come in to help them meet their production goals.
Now, in this particular example, it looks like we're simulating a wire feed MIG type setup there. Other processes possible with welding?
Absolutely. So MIG welding is going to be our number one by far. Most processes like TIG welding can also be replaced by MIG welding with some of the new waveforms, the new servo torches. This system has a Fronius unit on it. Fronius has some very unique waveforms that are very good for some of those processes you'd normally use for TIG welding, except aerospace, where things have to be certified or recertified if it's TIG. We can get TIG systems with these. It's just a little more complex, programming it as well as costly. There's been a lot more use of plasma welding lately. So plasma welding, laser welding, there's some very low power lasers compared to what we've seen in automotive and aerospace in the past. So those being used on cobots as well, where you can have a very clean weld on very thin materials, again, without having the intricacies that are needed with the TIG welding process.
How about cutting? Because I know industrially that there is a movement to replace some punching and shearing with systems like this.
Right, absolutely. So laser cutting is typically going to be done on a CNC type surface, X, Y, Z on a very limited base. But with a 6-off arm, you can actually add a plasma torch to, and the plasma technology has gotten so good that it can rival that of laser. So you can have different, say like pressure dome heads, things that have cuts that would take many hours to lay out, cut, clean up, that with a robot and offline programming software, you can do it in about 15, 20 minutes. So a whole day's worth of savings that you'll have on something that's now going to be repeatable, so you can now automate that process downstream as well. So you have a highly repeatable cut dome that you need to add some pipes to. It all works hand in hand by adding more automation upstream to enable that downstream.
The word Automate 2026, and of course, everyone says that the future of manufacturing is high mix, low volume, or infinite mix, infinite volume, you know, whatever you need at this point. How does this fit into that world of basically, I don't know what my customer is going to be day after tomorrow, and who knows what their volume is?
Sure, yeah, so high production environments like automotive, they've kind of got it figured out when it comes to operational efficiencies, what they can use for space to make those numbers they need. All that's been pretty well saturated automation. We love it, right? That's been, again, our kind of bread and butter for some time. Lots of good job shops, though, they might be welding 2 of something or 50 of something. To keep those contracts, though, they have to maintain the number of welders on board to be productive in that space. With cobots, though, they take up about the space of a human. So it's something, the whole idea is that we mentioned earlier with the safeguarding, you eliminate some of that additional safeguarding for the robot, and that robot is now in the place of somebody that was at that weld table before. So the fixturing can be simplified, your table surface can be simplified. You might not even need a table. If the part's a large part and you want to roll the robot up to the part, that's a possibility as well with the cobot. So again, high mix, low volume, cobot's perfect for those type of applications.
Josh, we've got to talk about it. Everyone talks about the labor factor. Manufacturing operations, especially SMEs across America, tell me that I am leaving money on the table. There are orders that I can win, and I'm afraid to fill the order because I just don't have the personnel. Is this one solution?
This is certainly a solution. So I know AWS sends out numbers such as 400,000 welder shortage, right, in the industry. How do you multiply the talent that you have then? If there's a shortage, you're not going to go find that talent just readily available on the street. So if you need to multiply what you're doing today with your limited resources, cobots, industrial robots are a great way to do that because you can train this once. That person can go do something else more value added while the robot, the cobot, is still able to produce what you have trained it to do. That could be 2 of something again, 5 of something, 50 of something, but you've now multiplied that talent that you already have on staff.
Now, it's the inevitable question. I hear this a lot. You get a small, medium-sized fab shop, 35, 50, 75 employees that say, I'm not General Motors, I'm not Ford Motor Company, I can't afford automation, basically. Is this technology now, is this accessible to that kind of business?
Absolutely. So obviously it's going to be lower cost because you've eliminated a lot of those additional safeguards. As long as you have a trained welder. You don't want somebody that's new to welding training a robot to weld because you have to repeat that process that they are an expert in. So this is something that, typically customers were looking at about 18 months ROI or payback on their investment. You can get even less than that on a cobot system, usually a year or less. Depending on the size of the part and that arc on time, again, that becomes more and more efficient as well.
A collaborative robotic solution to a critical labor shortage in American manufacturing, says Josh Leath of the Motoman Robotics division of Yaskawa, America.